Hello there. My name is Rudo, and I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. Now that I live on the other side of the world, New Zealand, I still love to connect to my homelands by drinking bourbon. I love it. In a meander, in a buzzy, lubricated kind of way. So let's start with a bottle of Eagle Rare. This is from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. It's one of their brands. Obviously, Buffalo Trace is massively popular all over the world. It's a cheaper price point than Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare is like more of an antique-y brand for Buffalo. So I'm more of a Woodford Reserve girl. I grew up going and visiting their distillery. Buffalo Trace's distillery is in Frankfurt, so it's further away from my hometown in Lexington, so I didn't visit it. Kentucky's capital, very cool, but I think Lexington is cooler. And we have like a really cool distillery bicycle pathway that you can do and have all the most amazing bourbons and just soak in the glory that is Kentucky limestone, Kentucky bourbon, Kentucky loose women, as they say. Fast horses and loose women, or loose horses and fast women. Either way, we're awesome. Although most people do say, oh, you're from Kentucky? Like the chicken? And I'm like, no, like the bourbon. Thank you very much. So here we go. Eagle Rare. The magic of this experience for me is that it's incredibly sensual, incredibly delicious. I love the taste. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So one thing that I learned from somebody who makes his own bourbon, shout out to Samwise, he told me that you can experience the flavor profiles of a bourbon kind of like the way that you do with perfume. You put a little bit on your skin and then you rub. And the bouquet elicits the precursors of what you're gonna smell. And so for me, it just reminds me of, oh, my mouth is watering. It reminds me of like leather. It reminds me of like a lodge, like, you know, somebody's like smoking room. And I just see leather and cigars and like old horse paintings, and everything is just dark and kind of cherry wood, and there's like pewter everywhere, and someone's making cornbread. So the bourbon goes in the glass. Pour as your desire dictates. None of this measuring stuff, unless you're legally required to do so. So, cheers. So smelling wise, I smell like the smokiness, the leather, but there's like this, there's like a tartness to this one that I don't experience with some of my other favorite bourbons, where it's all like just the sugars and the chocolatey and the toffees. Like for me, this one has like way more fruitiness to it. Like the first thing that I experienced when I tasted this for the first time was like, oh my God, it's like all of a sudden I get like hints of cherry, and like the colors that were like popping up into my head when I was tasting it was kind of like that cherry and purple, you know, deep leather color, like almost like a bruised cherry skin. It's so damn smooth. It's so fucking delicious. God. And there's a brightness to it. I think that's what I mean by cherries, is that it's bright. It's really like vibrant and like on a higher note. Like this would be a soprano. If it were a singer, she'd be like mezzo soprano, like whoa. You know, and the things that I'm used to, I'm more like kind of lower alto, like, So this one for me is a higher note, fruitier notes, but still smooth, still like the best class of taste and experience. And I could drink so much of this because it's so easy and smooth and inviting and warm, and I just want to serve it to people. Although not many of my friends like bourbon. It's just it's mostly a me and an inner sanctum of people thing. But you know what? More bourbon for me, which is great. I think bourbon gets a bad rap, and I'm fine with that because I'll be the one to walk into a bar and ask for a bourbon, maybe with a, splash of water or one ice cube or just by itself. You'll notice for the most part, I taste and talk about bourbon with nothing else in it because A, I'm like watery enough, and B, like, I don't know, I just never needed it. I will definitely make a video on mint juleps, and I will definitely make a video on bourbon balls. And I will definitely continue to make videos about my favorite bourbons and why. This one is definitely ranking to be one of my favorite ones, even though the price point is like $40 more than I'm used to spending on bourbon. So I'm gonna try really hard not to just zoom through it like I would with Makers or Woodford Reserve or Buffalo Trace. If I had to choose between this and Buffalo Trace, that would actually be really hard. If I had both, I would go with this. Thank you so much to Christopher for telling me to try out Eagle Trace when I told him that I hadn't tried it before. And I'm just so glad that I'm gainfully employed, that I don't have to worry about price point being a factor between me and my favorite activity in the entire world, drinking bourbon. It's not my favorite activity in the entire world. It's one of them. And 10,000 cool points if you know what my top 5 favorite things in the world to do are. So, the lasting thoughts that I will give you is that I love Eagle Rare. I think this would be an incredible gift for somebody like myself for a birthday present or a special event where you want to tell someone how much you care about them, because it is over $100 in New Zealand, that is. So thank you, Kentucky, for being so generous with your products that even this girl down in the Southern Hemisphere in Aotearoa, New Zealand, can still love on her favorite delectable gifts that remind her of home. And to you, have a good one and drink responsibly.